shortly I'm going to like be able to tip the bartender.
Yeah.
Yada
Yeah.
yada.
We're gonna be live here in a minute.
So I show up there, and it's raining, and the number of people that were there, and there was like, it was last Saturday, and they were not social distancing, and it was bad.
We're live. You're live on Facebook.
All right. Good
All right.
evening.
Give me a second. I gotta turn on YouTube. YouTube have to, but we're live on Facebook.
What up? Oh,
All the
Facebook.
tens of people out there.
That's right. It went down to 9. It's up to 11. They must have clicked on it by mistake.
Oh, yeah, it happens.
How's everybody doing?
Doing
We're
all
doing
right.
all right, though. How are you doing?
I had a good day today. So today was a good business day. So we'll talk about it the next time we do one of these things when everything's public.
There you go.
It's a good day.
That's interesting. I want to hear more about how you guys are. How work has changed for you guys, man. Shit. You're in a tricky business that way.
I mean, what's nice is that, at least for the law, we're able to do everything from home. Once every 2 or 3 days, we've got to go in and check mail. But there's most of the things we're able to do, except for when we've got a big immigration filing. It's like when the immigration attorneys is doing something, those things are huge. Like an asylum case is like, usually I file 600 or 700 pages. So you can't do that on your home printer.
All right, we're live.
Hello.
You want to do an intro, Steve? Do you want to say hi to the people?
Hello. This is Steve from the Royale. This is the Royale Political Wires. I don't know if we gave it an official name yet, but we can figure that out. It's not really a traditional political wire. It's a podcast we're having during this national and state emergency of this pandemic. And we're all holed up, so we need to do this podcast because usually we're just sitting around the bar drunk talking to each other. Now we can actually talk and kind of discuss how this affects our communities and ourselves personally and what we think we're going to have to do to get out of this thing. But here with Bill Streeter, who's going to moderate today. And we also have Matt McBride, Esquire, and also
Cheers.
Javad Kazali as well. Bringing up Shaw, we have all sides of Tower Grove Park pretty much covered.
I'm surrounded.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll give a little bit of an update on my end here. We are still closed. I'm being basically hit on almost all directions from these different packages that are being dropped right now to kind of keep things maybe not from sinking to the bottom of the ocean from happening. Lots of different opinions about that. I don't know if I want to keep talking about every fine point of material on this podcast because it starts turning my brain numb after a while. But there's a lot of people in this boat, and I've been taking self-care and keeping fit and eating well. Although I wish I was eating well with everybody else in the bar right now. But for now, I'm going to do it one bottle at a time in the bar alone. So cheers to all of you.
Is that a Bell's?
Yes, yes, it is. It's a Bell's. We got a Michigan beer here. I just finished up an Angel and Sword by Civil Life.
Wow, it's more than I've ever seen you drink, Steve.
I know, man. I'm
having a microbrew.
I might turn over my left shoulder and grab whatever liquor is calling me over here. So I feel very safe right now.
Oh,
now, one of the things we should talk about is how to.
Añejo Havana Club that Bill Streeter actually brought back from the grocery store to our Airbnb when we were in Havana last.
Oh,
that's right.
Still have some of that.
Yes, still have a little bit. So we're.
Oh. I heard it keeps well.
It has so far, yes.
It's hard to keep. That's the problem.
So, 2 lawyers.
I know. I gotta keep my eyes open here. Shit.
We just need some guns and money.
We'll be set.
All right, I got the booze then.
Warren Zevon for my listening audience. So one of the things we were talking about before we got on is how we're dealing with the pandemic, and it seems like all of us have well-stocked bars. My bar, though, is more of a basic bar. Good bourbon, good vodka, tequila, some mixers, but mostly simple syrup and bitters. What are the things I need to add so that I can just, I'm thinking, every day, 5 o'clock, we're having a happy hour here to just make a different drink every day. We're going to do a total wine order coming up, and I want to throw a few other things on there. You guys suggested some sweet and dry vermouth. What else are we looking at?
Get some Tia Maria or some Kahlua that'll go with your rum.
So we have some Tia Maria, and I bought some a while back. I bought, I forget what brand it is, but it's an Irish cream that's from County Cork. So we've got that. So the Tia Maria, what kind of rum should I put that with?
Oh, I like that with a dark rum and just a squeeze of lime.
Dark
Oh,
rum.
yeah, it's a classic. Tia Maria is good. I like that better than Kahlua. I prefer Tia Maria.
Well, Tia Maria, yeah, it's got the Kahlua base. I mean, it's got the rum base, whereas Kahlua's got a whiskey base.
Yeah, my wife's uncle owns a portion of I guess he used to own Broadway Oyster Bar.
Mhm.
Now he owns a portion of a dark rum company called Afro Head. So I've got a bottle of that he gave me. It seems pretty good.
Outstanding. I heard of it, but outstanding.
I'm gonna definitely get some Bermuda rum because I found a bunch of cans of
Gosling.
Goslings.
I love Goslings. The Goslings ginger ale is the best.
Oh,
Ginger ale or ginger beer?
Well, both. I've had both. They have a ginger ale and a ginger beer.
Reed's is good too. For the ginger beer.
I don't love Reeds. I love Goslings and I love
That's a good one too. Those are all.
Goslings
Barrett's
are
is my
expensive.
favorite. It's hard to-
I'm
All
surprised.
right, so we've got that. We've got our light rum, our Bermuda rum, our dark rum, our Tia Maria, our sweet and dry vermouth. What about some liqueurs?
Well,
I would
you
say
got
maybe a
Cointreau.
triple sec. Cointreau, yeah. Cointreau, Grand Marnier.
So some form of citrusy,
Yeah.
Look
some
for.
form of citrusy liqueur. So triple sec, grandma.
I would say maybe a maraschino, a Luxardo. Luxardo makes a great wine.
So I've got the Luxardo cherries.
Okay.
So those, because my standard is always the just the old fashioned.
Mhm.
My old fashioned is
Okay.
usually probably a Buffalo Trace or a Knob Creek, some simple
I love Knob Creek. My
Luxardo,
favorite.
and different flavors of bitters. What
Barb
else?
just joined. She's watching. Hello, Barb.
Hey Barb, what's happening? Let's see. Yeah, an orange liqueur, a rye whiskey. Rye whiskeys are pretty good. You want to, if you're into bourbon already.
Have you any Campari?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Aperol,
With your
Campari.
gin and your bourbon.
Was I talking to me about the Campari? Because I see it everywhere, and I've had it before when I'm like at a resort or someplace, but I don't know what I'm doing with it. What should I be doing with it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, just Campari and soda is classic. When it gets a
Barb
little
said
warmer,
cheers.
you'll get your capri pants out, go out on your back deck, and just have a half Campari, half soda water. It's perfect.
Okay.
You
How
can
similar is a Campari to like something like a Pimm's?
night and day. They're not at all related.
Okay.
The Pimm's is the first pre-bottled or pre-mixed cocktail that's bottled. They're bottled as a cocktail, kind of what the canned cocktails are now. That's
Yeah.
what Pimm's was back in the day. So there are 6 or 7 different types of pre-bottled cocktails. The only one that survived right now is the gin one. So that's Pimm's number 2.
Okay. I did not know that.
In the wintertime, they'll have the PIM 6 come out in the UK, can get it so it's got more cloves and mace, allspice, things like that in it.
All right.
And also you make your Old Pal with the Campari and bourbon. You can make your
Mhm. That's a good one.
Negroni with Campari and gin, and your sweet
Mhm.
vermouth,
That's
which
a
you're
good
gonna
one.
get. So Campari would be a good mix, good solid addition.
I mean, you can get a cognac too, but I wouldn't say it's essential.
Franco.
Brandy and rums, brandy and then you start doing two spirit cocktails,
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you want to start branching into that category.
and brandy's
Cognacs.
a really good one to
Let's
have.
see how long this thing goes. But I think I've got a few new additions right here.
Franco Diapaza joined.
All
Right.
right. Hey, Frank, what's up, brother?
I probably butchered his last name. D Piazza.
So where are you seeing where
Not
people
that
are
hard.
joining? Are they doing it on the Facebook?
I'm checking the Facebook page
Okay.
just to get some engagement going. This is just so people know, this is a kind of a random midweek chat. We don't really have an agenda. Franco says, hey. And you know what I could do? I could, if somebody wants to jump in here, we could actually invite some people in from the chat room. If they have Zoom, send me a DM on Facebook. I can send you the invite to the Zoom meeting.
You bet.
That would
And
be
if you get
cool.
out of hand, I'll throw you out of the bar.
Yeah, we can. I'm the bouncer here. So
I was at
Phil, calling your son.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ainsley's the bouncer of the physical bar.
he's cooking dinner right now. He's the cook tonight. So
Good.
Okay, good. So you're filling in for Door. Okay, that's good.
reminds me of a story. There's this old school bar in the Chicago Loop called Kavanaugh's, and it's inside of this old historic building called the Monadnock Building. And you can enter the bar either from the street or from the inside of like the office building. And I was in there one night drinking, and the owner was just telling stories, and he told this story about probably about 25 years ago. He was in there, and some guy got super hammered and was drinking, and the guy, was just being obnoxious. So he tossed the guy out of the bar. And about 40 minutes, he tossed the guy out of the bar, out of the front door. And about 40 minutes later, the guy walks in, but he enters from inside the building, and he sits down at the bar and tries to order a drink. And the owner comes over and he starts yelling at him, told him, get the fuck out of the bar. And the guy's like, I told you to leave. And the guy just freaks out. Basically like, well, you didn't tell me you own every bar in town, because he had no idea he did the same bar he admitted, because he just walked around
He was
downtown.
walked around for a bit.
Yeah, and then just entered this beautiful building and saw an entrance to an inside bar. Same bar.
So I'm going to put it out on Facebook that we are inviting people to jump in.
Can we just invite people to watch this thing? Is that how we do that?
Yeah, I shared it, but
I just shared it too.
you want to put a message? Do you want to type a message in? Tell people that we can,
Me?
or I can do it. Why don't you do it on your personal page too?
Okay.
I'm just inviting a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, I think I need a desktop to do the invites.
I can invite. Just tell them to DM me. Keep talking, folks.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. So what have you guys, what are your latest projections of how long this is going to be until the stay in place order is lifted?
June.
June?
So I think we're being managed. This is my theory. And what I mean by that is they're not giving you everything that they project right off the bat, because people would freak out if they were fully understood how long this
I
is.
don't think that the government fully understands it. I mean, like, here's
I think there's people there that understand it,
Yeah,
and I think that
people
we're being managed. And I think by the time we get to mid-May, right now we're till April 30th, right?
Right.
So by the time we get to mid-April, I think they're going to say, well, we'll extend it to mid-May. By the time we get to early May, they'll say to the end of May. and then probably to mid-June. But in reality is, I think the best case scenario is that we're going to end up being in and out of like they're going to recommend self-isolation for a while and then let us out for a while and then put us back in and let us out. And it'll go like that until we come out
Yeah,
with it.
well, that's kind of what happened with the Spanish flu. Yeah.
I had to drop something off. I had to go into the office by myself yesterday and put some immigration packets together and then mail them. And I drove down to the downtown post office and just didn't even get out of my car. But their mailboxes there pick up, you can drop off up until 7 o'clock or something. And I drove past that park on Market that's right across from,
Oh, I know what you saw.
and it was 30 homeless people
Yeah,
all in
up
congregating.
on each other.
Yeah, right around a fountain. Or I don't know if it's a fountain or I think it's a statue.
There's a
there.
statue.
And
Yeah.
they were all within a few feet of each other. And then I've got clients in downstate Missouri, and their response is, "Oh, this hasn't gotten here yet, so we don't need to start doing this yet." And you just see something like I see kids playing basketball, teenagers playing basketball in the alleyway. Now, most of the people in my neighborhood are going for walks and avoiding each other. But everything I hear about Tower Grove Park is that people are just on top of each other.
Well,
Yeah.
my neighbors threw a party last weekend. Somewhere mid-block. I couldn't see them, but I could hear them because the lights. It was like I live on a shady street, so it's not well lit anyway. But about 4 houses down on the opposite side of the street, I could hear there were kids. I had the windows open because it was nice, and I heard all these kids screaming about 11:30 at night, 11:30, something like that. And I was like, "What the hell's going on?" And I kind of sat next to my front window. My living room was dark, so I just sat next to the open window and just listened, and I could hear a whole party going on down the street.
Jeez.
And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I don't like to call the cops on people, but I did report it to the city the next day. But it's insane. I don't know what people are thinking.
Luckily, our governor is taking this serious. Did you guys see his executive order today?
No.
He's using his executive power to keep us safe by eliminating any late fees for people who have concealed and carry weapons.
Oh, I did hear that.
It's a high priority.
Oh my
I did
God.
hear that. I didn't even know I didn't know that you had to have a permit.
Yeah, we're a constitutional carry state anyway. So.
Yeah, we don't even need permits, do we?
Well, thank God he made that act. I mean, geez.
I don't know. I think maybe it's like you don't need a permit to carry a gun, but you need a permit to conceal it.
Yeah, there are certain exceptions.
Is that what it is? Huh, interesting.
I have no
Not
idea.
quite like that, but the permit gets you into, we can take it into the zoo, for instance. That's that lawsuit that they had. There's certain things that you can only do that if you have the concealed carry permit, gets you greater statutory rights than just going under the constitutional carry provisions. Which is crazy, but that's where we find ourselves.
Fucked up.
It's a thing.
Yeah. No, I've been witnessing when I've been out. The park is pretty irregular in terms of social distancing. People are walking on the paths, and then it's then you'll see a pack of kids on the path, maybe 10 or 12 of them. I'm people, we're learning all this stuff for the first time, and to watch people try to deal with it. Obviously, kids aren't going to listen because, kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take a while for them to at least somewhat catch up, but they're probably going to be some of the worst offenders. And then, or at least the most obvious offenders. And I don't know how this is we're trying to have a public service announcement, how to change real habits. I mean, I still want to shake people's hands when I'm standing 6-8 feet away from them,
Yeah.
It's funny because
we're finishing a conversation.
It's already gotten to the point with me that when I watch older movies and I see people super close to each other, I just want to yell what are you doing?
Yeah, like if they're smoking cigarettes, wait, what are you doing? Or they're shaking hands, whoa. Here's
what the governor posted out. Today, I signed our 6th executive order in response to COVID-19. This is the first thing he says. This executive order suspends late penalties for concealed carry license renewals. This executive order not only promotes public health and social distancing, but also frees up local law enforcement officers from administrative tasks.
What the fuck? Social
They're
distancing
able to get
by
out in the
shooting
street.
people?
Oh, no, because they now don't have to go into an office to get
Oh, okay.
their thing renewed.
So they could shoot you if you violated the social distance.
Sure.
Yeah, good Lord, I need a drink.
What are you going with, Steve?
I'm
Four
going
Roses?
with the Four Roses.
Small batch.
Mm-mm-mm.
I hear this stuff might help kill the COVID.
That's word on the street.
That's science.
I thought it was the
Yeah,
single barrel that did that.
So Steve, you're gonna get the Dr. Fucci on the Wall of Fame.
God damn, that guy should be the president of the United States. Man, how did he survive the Trump administration?
No, he was he's been there since the Bush
Yeah,
administration.
he's been there forever.
Yeah, but how did he survive?
They
How
didn't-
did he not
nothing
get
popped
put in
up.
by some?
There's no
I don't know.
pandemic before now.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
the thing
but-
is that he is he's also from New York, so maybe he's able to connect with Trump on some cultural level because he's a fellow New Yorker, maybe. I don't know.
So he's an asshole. I mean, I didn't mean to. No, he seems like a smart dude, man.
Casey
I
Nolan's
just-
watching.
Hey, Casey, how
We
you
should
doing, bud?
invite him
Go ahead,
to
no, send.
join.
Zoom in.
I know
I'll
he's
send
probably
you.
got Zoom. DM me, Casey. I'll send you the Zoom info. We're
Yeah,
looking for more people to join this thing. So
I'll send it to Casey as well. That guy needs to be on here.
yeah, go ahead and just
He needs to get back in front of the camera.
Fuck yeah, man. You think you're off work? No, screw you. Come on the TV show on the internet.
So what was today supposed to be the home opener?
yeah.
I wore my
Yep.
I wore my vintage
again, I
pin.
have to recommend the Battered Bastards of Baseball as a baseball documentary that you should watch.
I'm not familiar with it.
It's on.
If only there was someone here who did occasional podcasts about documentaries.
Yeah, well, I've been wanting to talk about that one for a while, and we haven't gotten around to. He's playing something. You know,
Are
I
you playing
just
something, Steve?
realized that with this screen sharing thing that I can do, somebody needs a mute there.
Steve, is that you playing something?
Hold on a second. Say something, brother.
Is that you
One,
playing
2, 3.
something?
No, that's not me.
Oh, that documentary about the case that my law partner Jim worked on. That was the wrongful conviction case that they're talking about, Bill. It's called "The Past Is Never Dead," and it's
Huh.
on Amazon. So you should
Past
watch it
is
and
never
decide
dead.
if you want to do an episode about it.
Yeah, that is you, Steve. I muted you and it goes away.
I think it might be something on my headphones.
Old man, turn up your hearing aid, old man.
Yeah, so Bill, "The Past Is Never Dead." It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Watch it and tell me if we can get those people on your other podcast.
All right. The past is never dead. I'm gonna. Wow.
Nope,
All right. Is that better?
Nope. Much worse.
a little bit better.
Gotta go
I'm
wired,
just gonna-
man. Gotta go
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
analog.
I'm gonna really.
He doesn't want to bother the customers.
You don't have wired buds?
All right, so what else? What's next on our agenda?
You know, I just realized that with this screen sharing thing, I can actually bring up other people's live streams, and we can watch it on here.
We're not going to Mystery Science Theater that.
Well,
Why not?
speak for yourself, Java.
I mean, come on.
I think this is the best use of technology we can find.
Yeah.
Okay, Casey said he's in. He's gonna. I just need to email him the link.
Yeah.
I'll do it right now.
Email him the doodad.
I'm going to share this on.
Well, let me ask you this, Java. Are you finding that you're drinking? I'm going deeper into my stock, and so the items that are normally set aside and go, I get to that a little later. Now, such as the Añejo rum, I'm pulling out some things that I would normally reach around and grab some of
I
my
don't
lower
have-
value items.
I don't have as nearly as deep a bar as you have. I mean, I have like 5 or 6 really good bottles of bourbon that I've been rotating around them. I don't usually drink tequila. It just doesn't work with me well, but we've ordered out a few times and there's a few places that are doing this curbside pickup thing really well. Mission Taco and Soulard is slaying it. And the last time we ordered from them, we ordered $30 worth of their margarita mix. The last few days we did Mission Taco margaritas with our own tequila. So that was good.
I've never been to Mission Taco.
It's good stuff, man. At
That
least,
probably means that
especially
I
if you've been
failed as a
drinking and
human
it's
being,
11:30.
but I'm sorry.
What I would recommend there is they've got this. It's like $50. It's you pick 2 of their meats, or I guess you can get portobello, and then they give you all of the fixins for 16 tacos.
Wow.
But
Ooh.
if you use the fixins right, it's way more than 16.
All right, Casey's here. I'm going to let him in. So everybody shut up. Quit talking about him. Here we go. Hello, Casey.
Casey Nolan,
Hello, Casey.
Hey, Casey, what are you drinking, buddy?
you're still on mute. You're still on mute.
I'll unmute him.
I think
There he goes.
there it is. All right, Casey, what are you drinking?
Coke Zero. Hang on, I got a puppy that's got the zoomies here. Hang on one second.
Look at the
Is he at
NBC.
work?
Look at the
You at work?
logo.
Oh, he's got a prop now. He's got a dog. Oh,
There it
man.
is.
You're gonna get all the chicks, man.
I took her for a run today, but she's already had her nap and now she's ready to play again.
Ready to go again?
Look at
Well,
that.
we had a
Oh my God. What's her name?
Veronica Corningstone, but I just call her Ronnie.
Oh, she's so cute. What kind of dog is she?
Oh, hang on, I got to kill your Facebook feed. Yeah, this is work from home, guys. I'm on the clock.
Oh, perfect.
I was talking to somebody from your team a few weeks ago about doing a story, like we're talking to, what's his name? Brandon Scott, about doing a story on, I don't know if you saw it on my Facebook feed, but I did a wedding ceremony on my stoop because our friends.
That was fucking hilarious.
I did see that actually.
And Brandon emailed and said that he was considering doing a story about it, and then it kind of like died.
You know, no, it's just crazy. Like every day it's almost like there's like 5 or 10 things a day that would have been like a lead story a month ago, right? That we just can't get to, it seems
And
like.
I think it was the weekend that you guys all were transitioning to shooting
Yeah.
from home.
Yeah, and then it's tough. I mean, the good news is we're putting a lot of stuff on the web, like record numbers of people are reading our stuff. But I think there's just a lot of like news to
Hey,
do.
Lindy Wormwood joined. Amy Mills, Chris Sabatino. I'm just
Well, if
calling
you
it
ever
out
do
to
a
the people in
story
the
on
chat room.
you go to my Facebook page or my Twitter, you can see the wedding ceremony we did about a week ago on.
I saw that.
Mhm.
It's
Actually,
fun.
you know what?
So I was listening to you guys talk about your prediction.
Hey, Lindy, we need a woman in here if you want to join. If you have Zoom, you're more than welcome. Too many dudes.
It's funny walking around Shaw, but everybody's walking and staying away from each other. And
Yeah.
all of these neighbors I've never met before. They're like, "Hey, aren't you guys the ones who did the wedding ceremony?" We're like, "Yeah, it was fun."
You know what? Hang on, I'll bring it up.
What were you saying, Casey?
Oh, I was intrigued by your conversation about predictions for when we'll,
Yeah.
come out of this stay at home. And I agree with what you guys are saying. I don't have any inside information, unfortunately, but I can believe, I mean, we went from like 1,000, no more than 1,000 people to no more than 250 to more than 50, like in the matter of 3 or 4 days.
Right.
I think you're right, because they were able to come out and said, okay, no more than 10 people and on day one, I don't know that the information changed that fast, or they just couldn't tell us 10 people on the first day.
But Jared Kushner's in charge now, guys. We're good.
Oh God.
Wow.
Where did you
So
see
he's
that?
gonna sue us for not
Well, that's
He did the
vacating his
press
property
conference.
soon enough, I guess.
That's what the whole delay of that rolling it out was supposed to be from the beginning, Casey, is that he had to get off his Peace in the Middle East project and get on the COVID project.
Well, did you hear the whole deal about how this all, like a lot of this stuff had to do with stuff out of Belleville? Either Belleville or all. So apparently they put him in charge of coming up with reviewing what the coronavirus thing is, but he couldn't, he didn't know shit about this. So his brother is
You
married
could have
to,
put a period there at the end of shit, but
right. His brother is married to that, what's the super model
Carly
from
Kloss.
Carly Kloss. I guess her dad is an emergency room doctor here in St. Louis.
By the way, nice guy. Met him on opening day once. Really humble, nice guy. But go ahead.
I've heard that.
The story is apparently Jared Kushner sent something to the father. The father didn't know of anything and went on a private Facebook page of emergency room doctors and said, hey guys, I've got a direct line to the White House. What should I be telling them? And this Facebook page is where the info was coming from. It wasn't coming from NIH. It wasn't coming from CDC. It's that, like, nobody believed the Trump administration wasn't listening to their inside stuff. They were listening to Jared Kushner's father-in-law's secondhand information from a Facebook.
That sounds legit.
Whoa. That's insane. Okay, I have to say, Marla joined, Steve.
Hey,
Hey,
Marla.
Marla.
And then Danny Ackenhorst, Michael Powers, Joseph Greer Militzer.
I think we
Joe
need to refer
Militzer.
to Danny as just the savior of Steve's hot dogs, right? I
Yeah.
mean, oh, what bad. I mean, their food's so great. I'm hoping that they're doing some good pickup.
I've heard they are.
Yeah, I think they're doing all right.
So Casey, why don't you give us a little rundown on how your life as a news presenter has changed over the last, as a reporter has changed over the last couple weeks, besides
Well, we're-
working from
We're
home?
working from home. So the only people in the station right now are Mike Bush, an executive producer, one person still on the desk, and one person in the control room, and one person in what we'd call master control, kind of like, the access to the beam. So let's say 5 or 6 people. Normally we have 100 people in there. So that's a
Holy
lot of people.
shit.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily 100 people over 3 shifts. So, but still,
So do you guys not like have cameramen, or are you able to do that all from master control?
all the studio cameras are robotic to begin with. That's been that way for several years, but they're down to just one camera. You only see them use, I'm pretty sure, one camera in the studio, and then everybody else. So I have this. This is how I go live. This is an old iPhone 6 because I only have one cell phone. So they gave me this old white iPhone 6 on a tripod with a couple of lights, and it's got an app that goes back. It's like a specialized app that goes back to a server at the station, and that's my live shot. So I'll actually co-anchor at 4 or at 6 and 10 tomorrow, and 5, 6, and 10 on Saturday from right here off of that phone.
Do you use a green screen behind you?
No, just my wall. They told me my wall was too busy, so I had to kind of angle it a different way. But I stole that antique sign. It's actually a faux antique Channel 5 KSD sign.
Oh, cool.
Noticing that.
As your
Swipe
attorney,
that out of prop
you
closet.
did not steal
So
it.
I have a question. So are you a little worried? Are people at the station a little worried that management's going to get a little, get some ideas about how thin of a crew they can do things with, and think about cutting budgets eventually?
I mean, I don't know that anybody locally is thinking that, but we all answer bean counters, right? Like who answered to Wall Street at some point. I'm not worried right now, but so I think it's a good thing. I can barely name the people in the sales department. They have no interaction with us whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I have no inside information there either. But I gotta believe if the economy shut down, it's gonna be hard to sell advertisements.
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, they already said that YouTube and Facebook has already like seen a big drop in ads.
So we're actually through the roof. We're getting numbers. I don't think this is proprietary. I'm sure it's probably true for 2 and 4 as well. But we're seeing numbers that, especially on late news, that we haven't seen in several years.
Viewers.
Viewers.
Yeah.
Yeah, viewers, and the website, and the website's doing really well too. So I think there's definitely a sense that we are relevant and needed. It's just a matter of I don't know how to keep the lights on long term. I have no
Always
idea.
been relevant and needed. Always. Now they're just being reminded about it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
I've been hearing, I'm in a number of podcasting groups, and this is an interesting thing. And I actually saw a news story about it the other day, a trade paper story. The audio podcast numbers are actually down by about 15% since the beginning.
I would imagine that that's true because
yeah,
I listen to podcasts all the time, but it's always when I'm driving.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's a commuting entertainment thing or a travel entertainment thing, and people aren't traveling or commuting, so it's podcast listening is probably down because of that.
It'll be fascinating to see how much life is different after all this. And I say that, I don't mean to sound unaware that people.
No, we understand. We get it.
But just what my girlfriend was telling me an article she read. I mean, she is the farthest thing from a bride wannabe Zillow, whatever, but just that whole culture around weddings and the money that's spent on it. And she was reading this fascinating article about how that may never come back, like after people had kept their priorities realigned. And just think about that in all facets and different industries.
It's going to change culture, I think, across the board. I think that corporate culture is going to realize that they can do a lot through these virtual meetings. And I think you'll probably start, I don't know that business travel is ever going to really come back like it was before. So
would you pay to live in San Francisco to work for Google when you can live in St. Louis and have 10 times the house and do exactly the same work over Zoom?
Right.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about, like, if this goes on for long enough, I think it's going to have an effect on Hollywood in that a lot of people move to LA. It could really work virtually, like writers, for instance, but they like the LA, they like that face-to-face. The Hollywood community likes the face-to-face meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And since nobody can have face-to-face anymore, I wonder if like people are going to, after this, maybe if the culture changes enough, I wonder if people are going to feel the need to actually move to Hollywood to make it in Hollywood anymore, because they'll be doing these types of meetings.
How much do you think it's really going to change? I mean, there's a lot of the things that we are programmed to do every day. A lot of things that we have advertisers that have done research with behaviorologists, sociologists, psychologists to make us act in certain ways. I mean, we're getting away from that right now, but don't you think it's going to be just a snap?
I think it'll come back for sure.
In?
It depends on what it is. Like business, and I think, and how business leaders will say, they come to some discovery that these Zoom meetings are saving them. They're going to look back at this period and look at how much they did and how much it cost them to do what they did. And they're going to say, oh, wow, that travel budget was way down in March and April. And, we don't need to travel as much. Maybe we should do more of these Zoom meetings, and we got just as much done, and maybe it was even more efficient. I think work from home is going to change too. It just depends on what it is, and it depends on how long it goes on too, because the longer it goes on, the more embedded these habits become, and then it'll be harder to even.
I'm interested on the opposite side. If this goes on for a long time and companies can see that they can do work from home, I'm more interested in, like, nobody is working the same number of hours that they were working before.
Exactly.
We are. Maybe Casey is, but
I'm more efficient. I mean, I don't want to be stuck here for the rest of my career, but I mean, I think I'm much more efficient. I mean, you guys know this kind of stuff better than me, but what's that old prediction from 100 years ago that by the 1980s we could work 3-day weeks and still be just as productive? And now we do, but we still work even more.
Yeah, I mean, right now, basically, my wife wakes up early. and she'll be in the office until like 1. And then I'll take, and, and she'll work after 1 doing calls and stuff like that. But primarily she tries to get all of her stuff done in the morning, and then I'll start working in the afternoon. And neither one of us are banging out full 8-hour days right now. And we're getting enough done. The question is, does this change our definition of what's enough?
Yeah. Well, hopefully. I mean, because that's always been the problems with efficiency. The lie that they told us about efficiency and technology is that you'll be able to work less because you can get more done quicker. But in reality, what happens is you work more because you can get more done quicker.
Exactly.
That's exactly what happens. So it's like the paperless office. It's a big lie. It's all a lie.
Yeah, my paperless office.
My office is pretty paperless, except for when I have to mail something to the fucking government.
I don't generate a lot of paper anymore, actually. So
I do.
I sadly do. I'm trying to get away from it, but it's still requires enough paper. Now, this is going to change things about my business too. Some odd little things, I'm sure. My business is, I think, going to be long to recover in this department. I mean, people congregating in large groups. I can't imagine that all of a sudden on May 1st or June 1st, all of a sudden, Busch Stadium's going to sell out, or people are going to want to walk into a really packed pub. I mean, there probably will be some of it, but I don't see it being like, I see it being more of a gradual process. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. It'd be nice to get back to normal in a way.
yeah.
Especially because we crave, look at us, we're fucking on Zoom right now. We want to be sitting next to each other at a bar.
I miss crowds. I mean, I've always been a very social person. And I miss like being out and just sort of mixing it up with people and talking to people and stuff. I mean, so I think that'll definitely come back for sure.
Yeah, but how
Steve,
long
it's going to be, it's going to base upon the credibility of people of epidemiologists and the scientists and I don't know, the experts. So it'll be depend on them.
Well, it's interesting because you just saw what the county today ordered all parks closed.
Where?
The
St. Louis County.
Oh shit.
I want to do a shout out to some folks that joined. Danny Ackenhorst actually said, I'm working many more hours from home. Don't know if it'll continue forever, but I feel compelled to save my employer and my restaurant. I'm illiterate. I'm semi-illiterate, so I'm sorry about this. Commute. So, Bill Hoyt says, "What about those who do not have the option from working from home? What are their working situations?"
Precisely.
And then,
we're fucked.
And then Jack Newsom just joined. So,
hey, Jack.
Jack Newsom.
I just want to point out here that Jack Newsom, I have traveled internationally with to multiple countries, and there are different countries that I traveled with to both Bill and Matt. And also, I have been abroad with Javad as well in Canada on my way back from Turkey. Yeah, on my way back from Turkey, where I was hanging out with Casey Nolan. So we have a whole.
We've all traveled with you.
We're talking via.
I didn't actually know.
How many of us have shared a room with you, Steve? Really?
I've not. I didn't actually know Steve. I guess he was in Turkey, and he was friends with Jim, my law partner, and we were in Toronto for my for my bachelor party. I think it was either my bachelor party or my 40th birthday party. My 40th birthday party, and he was flying back, and you missed your connection, right?
Yeah.
And we went to we were all at the bar where it was like the oldest bartender in Toronto, some 90-year-old guy. It was at the top of
bartender, not bar.
Yeah, sorry, bartender. Yeah.
All right, I like it.
It was like some 90-year-old bartender, and he was like the most famous bartender there. And it was at top of some hotel, so we were all drinking there. And Steve was like, called Jim and was like, "Yeah, I'm in Toronto too. We're like, just meet us at the bar." That's where we met.
Yeah,
at top of a hotel in Toronto.
Well, to bring into another story here, I was in Istanbul, and all of a sudden I get a text from Casey Nolan. It's like, "You're in Istanbul too?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I am." So what the fuck? We wound up getting going to a lot of shady places. Something happened in a barber shop. I'm not allowed to say, but
a haircut.
Yeah, yeah. And the hair
Yeah.
was cut there for
There
sure.
you go.
Or something happened to the hair. I can't say. But
I
I've
always
bumped
wondered why the bald guys at a barber shop.
We took Steve to the
hey, I might
barber
be
shop in
bald,
Cuba too.
Just that's true. Barbershop in Cuba as well. I might be bald, but I'm not. I'm also a very hairy man. And
He's a hairy neck. That neck is all covered.
Let's
follicles
just say
and
I
whatnot.
made the mistake of
Where's it?
asking, what's that pink substance on the counter for? And then they're like, oh, we will show you.
The next day I'm in the back room. Who knows what's happening? Anyway, I've been to a Turkish barber with Casey Nolan. I've been to a Cuban barber with Matt and Bill. I've been
You shared a room in Havana.
I've seen the oldest bartender in Canada with Javad, and also I've flown helicopters with Jack Newsham over the Gibraltar Strait after handling monkeys. So this is a very interesting
But
connection.
his favorite is when Scraps rubs up against his leg. So there's that.
So I found the quote. It was, who's the economist?
Mencken.
Keynesian. So Keynes is his
Keynesian.
name. Yeah. So he predicted by about this time, we'd only be working 15 hours a week anyway, being just as productive as we were previously. And I think we've long since passed that productivity, but we just keep working more hours. So maybe this will be the reset to where we aren't.
Hell yeah, I'm up for it.
Productivity to work. Huh?
We'll see. The newest in fashion wear.
This is her calm place.
I love it.
I used to have a cat that would stay up there like that.
I'm not so sure I didn't accidentally adopt a baby deer.
Yes, a fawn.
Yep.
He's
She
so
sleeps in a
cute.
circle.
So Steve, the hotel was the Park Hyatt,
Okay.
and the bartender retired soon after we were there. So I guess we would have been there in May of 2016-ish, probably.
I think it was 15, but
15.
16.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. 15 is probably right. Yeah, 15. In October 2016, Joe Gomes retired. He'd been working at that same bar. He was 75 years old, but he'd been
What?
working at that same bar for 57 years. Started when he was 18.
Wow.
Forming
All
out
right.
to Joe Gomes.
You know, if you want, I can bring up that video here of you doing the wedding. Javad.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
All right, hang on. Let me find it real quick.
So Casey, where are you flying off to next when this whole thing lets up? You going to any trips?
Now we had a couple of weddings we were going to that have obviously been canceled, but that's a really good question. I've been kicking that one around.
Flights are so cheap right now, man. It's ridiculous. Man,
Yeah.
even they waived all the change fees and everything. You get something in the fall. I saw tickets to Australia from St. Louis was like $380.
Oh, like even later on in the year.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Oh, it's cheap.
Yeah, we're supposed to go the first week in June. We're supposed to go to Portland. I'm pretty sure that's going to be. I'm still holding out on that one, but I'm sure that's going to get.
Well, they might be ahead of us there. You might be fine up there.
Well,
I'm still
well,
working.
surely you mean Portland, Maine.
Portland, Oregon.
I agree with what you guys were saying earlier, though. Unfortunately, I think they will probably let us out. We'll have to go back in. Let us out. Go back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not going to be over anytime soon. And it's all, it's until we get a vaccine, and that's 18 months from whenever they started looking for a vaccine. I assume February.
Well, I read
What's
something that never before has the global scientific community cooperated on the scale they are now. So maybe it'll be sped up.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Well, I got the. Hang on. I got the.
The wedding.
Yeah, the wedding. All right, you ready? Here we go.
Now I have to listen to my voice.
Or not.
Oh, can you hear it? Wait.
We can't hear it. Javad, you could have self-tied that tie, brother.
No, it was a pre-tied tie.
Ah,
I can't.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not playing audio.
Back in my day, well, I can tell you, there's the couple right there. Alex and Warren. And then
UPS.
you can see
People
my-
love it.
As with most weddings, UPS got involved.
You can see my wife set up a table that's got nitrile gloves on it, and we had the marriage certificate on the table. Actually, the bouquet is interesting because we were super depressed a few weeks earlier. We were supposed to go to a Disney cruise out of New Orleans on March 1st. And 4 days beforehand, our 4-year-old got diagnosed with influenza A. So we canceled that trip and we're all super sad about it. And her grandparents sent her flowers. And so we used those flowers as the bouquet there. Can you imagine New Orleans for 2 days
Yeah.
and then stuck on a cruise? Like, that would have been terrible.
All right, Kara Spencer's here. Finally, a woman.
We see you, Kara.
Hello, Kara.
Hear us?
Oh, thank you. My 4-year-old just, you may have Ron, Casey, but my 4-year-old just brought me 2 Busch Lights.
Well, that's good.
When I was 4, I brought my dad Bush and a frosted mug. So
Oh.
Yeah.
you gotta get the frosted mug going, Javad.
Well, we'll work out the frosted mugs. Yeah, she did bring me a koozie for my wife's law firm, Greensfelder, and we can't use we can't spare any freezer space for plastic cups right now. Don't you know that we're in a pandemic right now? It's full of ice cream sandwiches and
Oh, yeah.
party pizzas.
I want to say hi to Kevin Kornick. I think he's still in the room. And then Joey Pulo joined.
What's up, Kara?
I think Jack's still around.
Kara, how's your life different? I'm assuming nobody's calling you asking you for any guidance.
Well, actually, people have a lot more time to look out their windows and discover the potholes on their street and other things. Life is still going on, but there's a good amount of, I would say, confusion in the air. Oh my gosh, Bill. how things are going and what to do. People are really looking for answers, and so trying to do the best I can to shift gears a little bit and really focus on getting access to resources in the community. I represent a fairly vulnerable population down here, a lot of poverty, a lot of housing insecurity, and so I'm getting a lot of questions about that.
What do
I
you
wonder
see as
how
the?
many- Go ahead.
Go
Steve.
ahead, Casey.
No, I was going to say, I wonder, there are programs to help people with mortgages, but I wonder how many landlords will take advantage of that to pass that help on to their tenants.
What kind of?
Well, I'm saying, like, I don't know the particulars, but I know that if you have, lost a job due to all of this, you can go right now to if you have a mortgage that's backed by the federal government, they will suspend your payments now and do the paperwork later. Like, it's very accessible from what I've read and heard. But what about the people who are renting?
Yeah.
Will the landlord take advantage of that so they can therefore not collect rent?
There's a moratorium right now on evictions. There's a two-sided real problem here. I mean, we have a lot of small landlords who may own only just a couple properties down here, and
Right.
they may not be getting rent. And my concern too is that some of these landlords are going to lose their properties because they're operating on thin margins as it is. And then what's going to happen? I mean, what's worse than foreclosure, or excuse me, worse than an eviction would be a foreclosure on the property, and
Everybody's out. Yeah.
everybody's out.
Yeah, I'm trying to deal with that myself even, you know, I've got tenants and, but I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to negotiate with my mortgage company, but some of my tenants are still working. So does that mean you know, should be collecting rent because they're still working? I would assume so.
You'd
You
hope
know,
so.
I don't know.
I've heard some really heartening stories from landlords who have expressed their concern for their tenants and offered assistance, and people are coming to the table and paying rent when they can. In a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of instances, and that's really heartening. But I do think that we're going to see a major impact on the housing market, especially in areas where it's already really thin. The profits involved in renting and rehabbing in lower income areas are very, very vulnerable right now. In St. Louis, that pretty much describes most of St. Louis compared to the national averages. So we're a pretty vulnerable city here. I'm going to be trying to organize how small property owners can best weather this. You know, right now the advice is to get in the SBA line and make sure that you are talking to your bankers. I'm understanding from banking institutions that there's a lot of liquidity in the banking industry right now, so there is the ability to float a lot of these property loans. And we just need to make sure that our community has access to those those funds that are being kind of floated out there nationally.
I'm going to see what I can do here. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm just trying to work with everybody who I've got under my roof, and I'm just trying to take care of them. But I'm also trying to balance the fact that maybe sometimes they have parties, and I'm trying to, you know, I can't evict them, right? Nor do I want to right now, but they're also doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, get a broom. Well, no, seriously, Steve, call your banker, call your lender. That is the first call you should make tomorrow morning. Call them. If you don't have a strong relationship with your lender, build one, start building one now. They're all,
Right.
these guys are on the phone all day, every day right now, trying to figure out who to prioritize and getting in those SBA loans.
Yeah, I've been talking to it for my my general business, but you know, my personal rental properties, that's another thing. But yeah, I've been in touch for my business with my bankers, and so far so good. Trying to figure out if this SBA thing really is the best fit for me, you know, because I don't want to be in violation of any sort of terms of this loan, and then all of a sudden owe this money back, which isn't quite as clear. And I get multiple answers from all sorts of smart people, but that could be a whole episode of this gathering podcast, whatever. But
and there is that like donut hole in the SBA loans where how, you know, like especially the Payroll Protection Act is
Right.
all about keeping people on payroll, but how are you doing that for places which legally can't be open? You know, there's a
Right.
very different world for like my law firm. I can keep my people on payroll, and I know they're not working as much, but they're still able to do 50 to 75% of the same work from home. You know, Steve's people can't make me a cocktail.
No, I have $0 coming in.
But and that's also another thing too, is it's like little things. We were talking before you came on, Kara, about some of the businesses that are doing, I think, a stellar job of the restaurants that are doing the curbside stuff, and they've got their lines set up and totally touchless, you know, all that. And I've ordered now twice from Mission Taco. They do a great job of it. But they're allowed, I mean, just the ridiculousness that they're allowed to sell me mixers, everything to make a cocktail, and a bottle of tequila. But they can't mix them together and just sell me like a pitcher of tequila. You know, and they talk about how that is a place like that. That's probably half of their
Oh yeah,
comes from those types of drinks.
yeah. I don't know. The thing is, though, they might be making this right now, but it is not by no means a proven business model of what they're doing. They might be losing their ass doing that right now. Right. And the way I was doing it was not. I mean, I could do it, but I potentially could be going out of business trying to do curbside. Plus, there's a lot of other complications with it as well. And I think I'd said in the last podcast, I had a little bit of a hiccup because that first night I did curbside, I had a fever that night.
Right.
And do I want to be handing out things? Do I have a fever?
Right.
No, I shut that shit down. And I was told to close by the state. I could do curbside, but my business primarily is doing this, but we're all sitting up next to each other at the bar. You know, that's my primary business. That's what I thrive in. And I could try to change it out. All of a sudden I'm creating a new business of doing curbside, but to make me think that that's what the business I'm going to be in now, is that what I'm doing now?
Fast food.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Am I
And
doing
your
food
employees, are they going
in
to
a bag?
transition over to that or not?
Yeah.
And you
just
guys don't
assume-
have I think like the businesses that are doing a good job of that are the ones with the swappable menu. In other words,
Oh,
you go
yeah.
to a Christian taco, everything is the same except for that last thing that you drop into the taco.
Exactly.
Or,
Not-
the pizza places. I know Yaki's is
Yeah.
doing well. They're selling bottles of wine, which are a lot easier. But, Javad, you're the lawyer, but, these liquor laws are largely dictated by the state of Missouri. And so they get out of our hands,
Yeah.
at least here locally.
I'd like to see them enforce this shit right now. I mean, to be honest,
Well,
good luck. Come on over here.
Mhm.
Honestly, I mean, if they want to, I know there was a lot of talk about them trying to enforce these liquor laws, but honest, what are they going to do? Are they going to,
It's a bad look.
do they
It would
want to
be
shut us
Bad
down?
luck. And when they're going to be, they're going to have to come up for renewal at some point.
Yeah.
And they're going to have their staff back, and it's not going to be a place you want to be in.
Right.
To have a history that's been advertised that you're flouting the law.
Yeah, the advertising will get you for sure. But, I think too, everybody is suffering through this for the most part. I think the entire economy is going to look very different on the other side of this. And
Yeah, for sure.
We were talking about that earlier. Culture and everything.
Mhm.
Change. Business
And-
culture and
So this is where my cynical side comes through. I think there's a chance that the economy may not look as bad as we think it is, which will go and prove that so much of the stuff that we've been depriving our people of for bullshit reasons. Like I look at all of these companies that are lining up to get these SBA loans, and there's some big ass companies doing this. They're going to be asking for millions of dollars. And there's a lot of liquidity there, and the banks aren't going to make a penny off of this. And it's all going to be done, and it's fine. It's backed by the government, and that's great that they're doing it. But this is also was able to be done overnight. And then we go through and we talk about all of the things that we claim in America we can't pay for.
But isn't that deficit spending, Javad?
Oh, yeah.
Aren't we just kicking it down to the next generation?
What?
We're just kicking it down to the next generation.
I don't know if we are though, because
how's it going to get paid?
It may not get paid. I mean, you literally can. There's nothing against. There's no prohibition from minting trillion-dollar coins and putting them into our treasury. Now you're going to pay with them with some inflation for sure, but you're not going to be paying with them with this monstrous. I'm just saying, all of a sudden we were able to go out and say a law firm that has 299 employees can go and get all of their payroll paid for 2 months for free. But those same employees who probably have 20 to 50 or $80,000 of law school debt, oh my God, we could never afford that. I think that this, when we were talking about how this has kind of brought the lie to the 40-hour work week, that we could have been doing less and still be productive enough. I think it's brought the lie to this whole idea that there are all of these services that we just can't afford.
But I think everyone on this, as we look at this Brady Bunch here, there's not people who are working in the factories. There's not people who are working blue collar jobs, because that's where I think there is still that need, at least. And there's still you have to put in the hours to make it worthwhile.
Well, and a lot of those folks are still working. I mean, if you look and you see that in the disease rates, when you look at these zip codes where we have cases of COVID-19 in the city of St. Louis, the two highest zip codes are in North St. Louis.
It's not like it's
I
63139.
got you.
That is a packed zip code.
Yeah.
Those zip
Yeah.
codes.
Yeah, the second's the largest ward in the whole city, and it's not very sparsely. It's
Yeah.
not very populated at all.
Can you copy this, Mom? Can you copy this?
Yes, but not right now.
Hi.
Oh, the choice of working
The
from home,
camera, I
Tara.
can take a screenshot of it and then email.
I know, I was trying to get a screenshot of this map and I'm having,
Yeah, so it's got the north city, and
You
then
can
there's
share
one
your screen.
ward down in the 28th.
you want to share my screen here?
You can share your screen if you like. Just at the bottom of the
Scroll down to the bottom,
Zoom.
and it'll say
I think
share
we
screen
lost
and a
our
green
live-
button.
Yeah, we lost our live stream on Facebook, but we're recording this so we can post it later. But if you want to share your screen to show us what you're talking about.
Yeah, I
That
saw
map's
that.
pretty interesting.
That map. Yeah,
There we go.
This was actually yesterday's. Today's was a little different.
mhm.
Oh, this is not my screen. This is somebody else's.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you look at today's, it's even a little more stark. Let's see. Sorry, we're also using the copier, but I can send this link into the Zoom. How about that? 'Cause I clearly having technical difficulties here.
Let me ask you guys a question while she's